Let's go! Three idiots on a podcast. Like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Runs sucks.
We don't know if any of that's true, but Bill. Oh, Jordan, don't give me this technically crap. Come on.
Got personal this week.
Lots of stuff happened.
Chad Berger, Brian Dawson of USD.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You guys do it in a really professional manner, and it's awesome.
We made it. Kyle fans, happy Sunday night. Welcome into episode 4, season 2 of the Howling Podcast, where we don't know what we're doing. We would never call it just Citadel and Runza Sucks. My name is Jordan Decker. Tonight, once again, joined by fellow Coyote fans Mark Wendt and Chad Berger. New friend of the show and founder, co-host of FCS Nation, Kevin Marshall, stops by. We're looking forward to visiting with him, and we will recap the exciting week that was in Coyote athletics, as well as look ahead to the upcoming week. And as always, we'll end the episode eye chart of the week coming up very soon. You can find us on X at HowWithUs3, yours truly at JD6OP5, Mark at WDiamond605, and then Chad is at Chad Berger, BIRGER, at Chad Berger. On the Facebook, just search The Howling Podcast. Please like and follow the page. YouTube, where you can watch us live. Welcome in those that are watching on YouTube. Just search The Howling Podcast. Please smash that subscribe button. Quick disclaimer before we get going. The opinions on this show are ours and do not represent USD or USD Athletics. As always, tonight's show is brought to you by our friends at 19 Brewing Company in Vermilion. Stopped by there on Saturday, had a couple of legacy beers before the volleyball game. Our friends at 19 Brewing Company, very thankful for them to sponsor this season. So before we get going, though, I want to get a quick word in from Katie at 19 Brewing Company.
Looking for a place where good beer meets better company? Welcome to 19 Brewing Company, Vermilion's first craft brewery and home to Coyote Legacy Blonde Ale. Brought to you by 2 USD alumni, Coyote Legacy isn't just any beer. It's a chance to give back to student scholarships while enjoying a refreshing blonde ale. With 12 rotating taps, a flavor-it-yourself seltzer, and homemade root beer, we have something for every Coyote fan. 19 Brewing Company. Good beer, better company.
Chad, Mark, good to see you again.
Welcome back. How are we doing?
Yeah, great. Saw you guys yesterday. It was fun,
September, and we saw each other in person already.
Right, a fun day. Well, I mean, you were able to make it down after the flag football playoffs that, your kid first
regular season, hold up, regular season, not playoffs yet. Okay. We're still fighting.
Yeah, so yeah, we were able to see each other a little bit yesterday, had a great time. Lots of cool stuff happened, and let's talk about that. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right. Mark.
Soccer. 3-2-1 on the year after a drawing with Northern Colorado, and they played Creighton also. I believe that was today. Volleyball 2-1 on the week, 6-3 on the season. Swept Green Bay 3-0. Reverse swept Florida Gulf Coast and fell to Kansas 3-0. And we'll get into all that in a bit. Football got their first dub of the season in dramatic fashion in overtime versus Northern Colorado. Men's golf 9th at the Wildcat Invitational. Women's golf 2nd in Normal, Illinois. Katie Nicola finished 2nd. Ella Greenberg 3rd. Tennis played at the Augustana Invite.
It was in Sioux Falls. Tennis is back, folks. It's back. Let's go. We're a tennis show too. Okay. Tennis is back. We're excited about that. So we'll talk about some of that later on too. All right.
That was the week that was.
Yeah. Good week. Thanks, Mark. Jordan.
Yeah, guys. So we are welcoming in Kevin Marshall at FCS Nation. I have been an extreme fan of his and what they do. His whole team. I mean, they've expanded to writers that cover everything FCS. These are the go-to guys for FCS football. Phenomenal work. They travel the country for these games. And just really, really glad we shot our shot. We got Kevin in and really excited to talk some FCS football. Kevin, welcome into the Howling Podcast, new friend of the show.
Very glad to be here. I've been a fan of your team for a long time. I like your show. And obviously it's not sponsored by the American Epilepsy Association, not with that thing going on behind Jordan's
I knew
head there, So, I mean, and before we get started, if there's a marketing opportunity missed here for y'all, Chad Burger. I mean, what would be on a Chad burger? I got to know the answer to this, man.
Probably a taco. I mean,
it's not a burger, but I get it. Just like a hot dog is not a sandwich. Perfect. Good ball game yesterday. Maybe more exciting than y'all would have liked. But Ed Lamb is a good football coach. You can see him starting to turn the corner with that Northern Colorado team. They came in there all pissed off because they felt like they had one stolen from them from their in-state FCS program, Colorado State, the week before. And there's not a lot of back down in that team, even when they didn't have the dudes to compete with you when they were 0-11 a couple years ago. They still came in there, and you knew they were going to fight you. Ed Lamb's a good football coach. I'm excited for him. There are people in that profession and with doing what we do for a living that we want to see do well, and Ed Lamb is certainly one of those guys. And, L.J. Phillips, man. I mean, you lose Pierre for the season, and that guy just took that upon himself to be, I'm going to go out there and rush for over 300 yards. That was a historic performance by that young man. People are going to talk about that for a long time, and I'm excited for what he's going to be able to do toting the mail for you all the rest of the year.
So, Kevin, for the Coyote fans that are listening, as we've the last few years at the end of 2022 and become more kind of nationally relevant, we've had a lot of folks kind of pay more attention to the FCS. So what's kind of your high level of who's impressed you so far in the FCS this year? What teams have kind of been unimpressive? So a two-part.
Well, the impressive team.
How has USD looked in your eyes so far?
They've looked halfway decent. And, you don't want to have that problem that you had the first game of the year, but it's a testament to your program that you seriously thought you were going to go in there and compete. And when you really didn't, it was disappointing. Years past, maybe you knew how that was going to work out. And then you go on the road against Lamar, who is not an easy victory anymore. That used to be a squad that you could pencil in a victory over them before the season started, not even use a pencil. You could use a pen. But that's in Texas. They've recruited a whole hell of a lot better than they used to. That's a program on the rise. And then with what you did yesterday. But the impressive teams, I mean, the list is pretty short. Tarleton State, I mean, they went down to Central Arkansas on the stripes there in Conway, Arkansas, which is a very tough place to win. And that ball game was over with about 12 minutes to go in the first quarter. That has been a dominant force of a football team so far. And they look every bit as impressive where you want to look, offensive, defensive line, back end of the secondary, running game, as any of the top teams in the Valley have looked so far. It's going to be a very interesting race to see who's going to get to Nashville. And West Georgia has been a really good national story. Joel Taylor is a very good football coach. He was an assistant at 7 or 8 different places. He was on the staff of Mike Houston with those two Citadel teams, 2015 and 2016, that were Southern Conference champions, beat South Carolina in Columbia. So I've been familiar with him for a while since then. And it was no surprise to me at all that he would take West Georgia and transition them to D1 and be immediately competitive. That guy is just a competitor. And those two squads and disappointment would have to be just the entire league I grew up watching. The Southern Conference has been bad so far. It's been all bad, nothing good really. And I just scratch my head at that because, it makes me feel bad personally, but it is what it is. And at FCS Nation, just because the co-host of the program played football for Southern Illinois, we're not going to pull our punches if Southern Illinois stinks. And just because I'm a Southern Conference person, I'm not going to pull punches when they stink. And they do so far. Bad, stink, out loud. So that's kind of a snapshot so far. And, the Bison are going to be who we think they're going to be just about every year. The Jackrabbits look to be rounding into some form. Montana State's a tough team. The Grizz looked good at times yesterday. And North Dakota, I just don't know how you leave 7 points on the football field at Washington Grizzly Stadium and not kick 2 field goals when they're welcome that would have won you the game, much less the missed extra point, and then have people upset with a pass interference call that could have gone either way on the last offensive play of the game. I mean, that game was over, and North Dakota did things that a lot of people do at Washington Grizzly Stadium is they have their foot on the Grizz neck, and they just don't kill the beast. And if you don't do that at that place, you're going to get beat more times than not.
Kevin, before I ask you a question, I do want to mention to everyone out there watching right now, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and comment, and you can actually be a part of the show. We can feature some of your comments and answer questions if you have those during the show. So go ahead and comment, interact with the program. But Kevin, I was going to ask, you had mentioned, about different parts of the country and some of the top teams in the country. What does it take for one of these programs to consistently be, as far as resources, NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff? What does it take for one of the teams to be consistently in the top of FCS football?
Well, my good friend Sam Herder put out a list last week that I think the Extra Points fellow had gotten that showed who was spending the most money in FCS football. And the top 10 of that isn't really who you would think it is. I mean, there's some schools you would think are in there, but you're not going to spin your way to prominence in this subdivision. People are trying and they just can't get there. So what you spend is not as important as who's doing the spending and who's doing the coaching. Coaching is such an overlooked deal in our subdivision because even with a transfer portal, it's really always going to be about development, player development, finding them, signing them, keeping them in school, developing them as people and as athletes, and getting them on the field to perform for you. So with the development, and now you have to think, well, if I develop this guy, I'm going to put my time and my money and my reputation into developing these players, and then I'm not going to reap the benefits of this work that I put in. That's rough. That's the only thing you can say about that, is that it's a pretty rough deal. But what it's going to take is some teams from other leagues that aren't the Valley or the Big Sky are going to have to quit beating up on one another. And you're going to have to win games out of conference that get you ranked by that playoff committee, because there is no poll that's used by the playoff committee anymore to determine seeding or for anything else. So you're going to have to go through your league undefeated. And if you're not in one of the power leagues, so to speak, you're going to have to do that impressively. And you're going to have to get one of these Dakotas or one of these Montanas at your place in the playoffs rather than you having to go to theirs. And that almost happened a couple of years ago with Furman. Furman, the last week of the regular season, lost to Wofford, whose only win to that point in the season was over an 0-11 Citadel team. And Furman had a lot of guys out for that ball game. There were a lot of excuses that could be made. Clay Hendricks, their head coach, isn't much of an excuse maker. They just got beat. Wofford lined up and beat them. But if they don't lose to Wofford, probably that game they had to go into Washington Grizzly Stadium against Montana that went to overtime is probably taking place in Greenville, South Carolina, and Furman probably wins that game at home. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take somebody who isn't part of that sort of clique in FCS football being so good that they cannot be denied a very high seed and getting some of these teams that are perennial powers out of their home environment and into that other school's home environment where things can happen.
Kev, my question is out of order here, but I'm kind of curious how you became to be one of the go-to FCS guys. In third grade, did they ask you what you wanted to be, and you said the FCS guru, or how did that come to be?
And that's very flattering for you to say. There are a lot of people who are covering this subdivision, and everybody deserves a whole lot of credit. And I grew up around Southern Conference football in the Low Country of South Carolina and Charleston. And in my family, since back before the war, if you're a dude, you attend South Carolina's military college. And, where I'm from, when we talk about the war, we ain't talking about Korea, right? So, and in those days when I was coming up, the Southern Conference is what the Valley is today, and it wasn't close. You could have been the 6th best team in the Southern Conference then, and you might have been the 11th best team in the country. No kidding. When Georgia Southern and Marshall and that bunch and Appy were still in there, the Furman teams were really good. So, you saw the best, what was then 1AA teams every week in your own league. And then in the playoffs, you got introduced to the rest of the country, right? So you had to know about the Montanas, the Montana States. And when I was a kid, I saw Western Carolina play Southern Illinois in the national championship game at Johnson Haygood Stadium on the campus of the Citadel, and I saw Montana State win their national championship at the national championship game at Johnson Haygood Stadium at the Citadel. So that, love of this level of football comes from when I was a very small child. I mean, when I was, 5, 6 years old, I got a towel from the great Stump Mitchell after one of his great games after, I don't even recall the game, but I know that I got to meet him and got a towel that he had used. And then last season when I was back at a Citadel game, I got my picture made with Stump Mitchell. And I'll tell you what, I value that picture a lot. And if that old man, Kevin Marshall, was in that picture, but that 10-year-old Kevin Marshall is still in there. And if he would have had that picture made, man, when he went to school on Monday, you couldn't have told him shit. I'll tell you that right now. So I love this level of football. It is it's kept in its proper perspective. It's played in 99.9% of cases by young men who you wouldn't mind having around your supper table. Money hasn't ruined it absolutely. It's not dirty. You don't feel slimy rooting. And I really appreciate that. And I think it's great football. There's a lot of Sunday guys who you're going to see. And that's what I really enjoy is there's a time in every part of the year where guys that get paid a hell of a lot more than Stone Labanowitz and I do to cover college football. And these guys are draft experts. And they say they discover somebody that we've been talking about for 4 years. I really enjoy that. That makes me very happy. Somebody's Mr. X in the NFL draft is somebody that we've known about for a long time. So I love FCS football. If I got offered a job tomorrow covering the SEC, I'd tell them no. I don't know that. I don't care for it. This is what I know, and this is what I do.
For those that are listening, whether it's live or later on, we're joined by Kevin Marshall, FCS Nation. You can find them on X at FCS Nation Radio 1. That's the number 1. And then on Facebook, FCS Nation. Kev, I want to ask you to kind of looking ahead here before a lot of conferences get in conference play, like and I know you mentioned some teams earlier that you've been impressed with, but like, what are some games that are upcoming? What are some teams that are upcoming that might have had a tough non-con that you're really looking forward to how they play, and maybe for folks around the country to really keep an eye on as we head into conference play in the next couple of weeks?
Look, that list really begins and ends with Montana State. I mean, you open up with Oregon, and then you back that up with South Dakota State. I mean, yikes, pack a lunch, right? They really showed against a decent San Diego team who had beaten Southern Utah, who was ranked by some the week before. Montana State is a team that nobody's going to want to play. They're starting to round their stuff into a pile, and I really like that football team a lot. Hope springs eternal for teams like ETSU, but they're discovering that if you bring in 2 FBS quarterbacks who both played, McNamara, and then the young man from North Carolina, whose name escapes me in a moment. But you still only got the one football, and only one guy can play quarterback at a time. Very disappointed so far with what Sac State has put on tape. For all the ink that was spilled and all the words that were said, yikes so far.
You even had some Yote fans rooting against him
right,
first week.
Right. And it's, I don't know. You never should go out of your way to motivate your opponent, right? And, if you're going to be a part of something, you probably shouldn't, just talk a whole bunch of smack about everybody in it. That's my take on that. But it's so wide open still. I mean, we know who's good, we think, at the top of the poll. That 10 to 15 range is interesting in a lot of ways. And, what follows behind that each week is generally just your best guess about what's going to happen going forward. But Southern Illinois intrigues me a lot. DJ Williams, a good quarterback, showed his value last week. Lamar is a team that is surprising some people. Hate to bring them up. I know that's probably still sore subject for Yotes folks. But Austin Peay, all they've done is look really good, and they went to Georgia and competed very well. UC Davis, what do we know about them? Not a whole lot. Their quarterback's pretty good, mobile, going to keep them alive and win them a lot of games, we think. But it's interesting to me what the Pioneer League has done so far. In my home state of South Carolina, there's a little school in a town called Clinton called Presbyterian College, who is playing in the Pioneer League and has beat 2 SoCon teams. So that's impressive. And they're the Blue Hose, and that's one of the most unique mascots, I think, in all of Division I football. It comes from the Scottish settlers of that region of South Carolina, the Scot-Irish who settled there. So that's why they got the guy in the kilt and the sword, and it's blue, and, it's the Blue Hose. But the CAA has been interesting. Rhode Island has survived some ball games against teams that, if they really are what we think, the number 9 team in the country, they probably should have performed a little better. But I feel real bad for Holy Cross. They lost, 9-7 yesterday, and they lost to an FBS opponent by 2 points in week 1, and then in week 2 they lost to New Hampshire by 3 points. They got a hell of a defense, like maybe one of the best defenses in all of FCS. But Matthew Sluka don't play there no more, and their offense just can't seem to get out of their own way. But they're an 0-3 team that is still a really good football team, and I feel for Holy Cross. Gardner Webb has looked fairly good so far. Western Carolina is kind of in a boat that, they've been without their Tiger Dickens the first 2 weeks of the season, the quarterback who makes that whole thing go. And he's back, but they haven't won a game yet, and they're behind the 8 ball. But with the way the SoCon is, it's not over for them yet, because they can still win the Southern Conference Championship and get that automatic bid. So we're still open at this point in the year, and still a lot of football left to be played, and I'm looking forward to every snap of it.
Kev, you brought up earlier how impressive LJ Phillips looked on Saturday for the Yotes. But on the opposite side of things, the offense in general hasn't looked that great over the first 3 games for the Yotes. A lot of changes over the offseason, coaching staff changes, offensive coordinator left. Aiden Bauman's back, but he's not looking like the same Aiden Bauman that we all saw last season. What do the Yotes need to do offensively to get back on the right track here?
If I knew the answer to that, I think that I'd be paid as an offensive analyst, right? I just think that everything starts out up front. And yes, you have some good guys on the offensive line, but they're not the guys that your really good quarterback built up the relationship with for years and knew what was going to happen on every play, knew what to expect from those guys up front. I think you'll get there. It's just a question of when, and is it going to take too long? But there's no doubt Aiden needs to be better. He'd tell you that himself. He's that type of a young man. We got to know him a little bit through the Alex's Lemonade Stand Challenge the last couple of years with Northwestern Mutual. He'll tell you that. But having a back who is such a threat in the running game, and it seemed like you had one before and you've still got one, is only going to open that stuff up down the field. I don't believe anybody in FCS football throws a better deep ball than Aiden Bauman. And if you can run the ball, that play action that he is so effective at becomes just such a weapon. And I expect that commitment to the running game by South Dakota to continue, and that passing game down the field with the big plays that we've all become accustomed to. I think we'll start seeing that come to fruition here shortly.
Kevin,
did I answer your question, Chad? Did I answer your question? Okay, I tried. I mean, it wasn't one of those situations where I had forgotten it by the time I got done talking. That happens to me a little bit.
I was trying to cue you up to talk about offensive line, so you nailed it. Knocked it out of the park. Yep.
Kevin, you mentioned Alex's Lemonade Stand. Can you tell us a little bit how you got involved with that and what that's all about?
Man, you know, sometimes a cold call will go a long way, right? We're always looking for, national sponsorships. And fella in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Chris Schenkel, who's a managing partner at the Northwestern Mutual office there in Sioux Falls, follows us on the X machine and interacts, and he happens to, root for that other school in South Dakota, but that
he's a Harrisburg High School graduate. So
okay.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody's
perfect. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, my mom went to Furman and we love her anyway. So, I mean, you got that. But so I just called him and basically was, kind of wanting to pick his brain about some people that he knew. And we got to talking and brought in Stone Labanowitz, who has a lot of good ideas. He has a lot of ideas, some of them good. How about that? And isn't afraid to tell you about those ideas, whether they're good or bad. One of the things I love about that cat. But it just came in a situation where he had an idea, we had the platform, we had the connections from years of doing this, that at the FCS level, to get nil money for a player, that player is always going to have to do something, right? You're not going to get $100,000 because you can play safety like you can get at Clemson. So, and what better use of your NIL than to represent a charity that wants to end pediatric cancer in our time, Alex's Lemonade Stand, and funds research towards that goal? What better use than that, right? And everybody wins. Northwestern Mutual gets what they're looking for. The player gets what they're looking for. We get what we're looking for. And at the end of the day, the beneficiary of all of that and all those efforts are children with cancer. And if you can't get behind that, then you've got a problem. So when people don't want to donate or don't want to take part, I just kind of ask them, I'm like, well, what do you mean? You like kids having cancer? What kind of person are you, dude? And that generally gets even like the most bah humbug of people, if you will, to see that this is a great thing. And, we're just extremely proud to be a small part of it.
And I've thoroughly enjoyed taking part in the pledging that I've seen. A couple years ago, I saw some fans
lemon pledge. Always got to be lemon pledge.
The lemon pledge.
Pledging lemon pledge. Yes.
Yes, it's been great. And I've got my pledge this year. You can see if you're watching the video at my X, it's pinned at the top of my profile. If you want to do a similar pledge, there's still plenty of time to do it. Like Kevin said, if you don't, what the hell's wrong with you? Okay, but Kevin, I want to bring up the end of the season. Okay, championships in Nashville. How do we feel about, like, as a Coyote fan, we haven't won a game in Texas, and Mark and Chad, what is it, 100 and some years? So I could care less if the game's back in Texas. I'm hoping that we can get there this year. But, thoughts on the Frisco versus Nashville and the future of the FCS championship game?
Well, Frisco did a fine job. You can't debate that. They also got extremely lucky with the teams that made it to there. They never got Eastern Washington versus Maine, shall we say, right? So they always got JMU, even one year Illinois State. So the Bison, the Jackrabbits, people that have fan bases that will travel. Nashville wants to host a Super Bowl, and this is a dry run for them, really. Can you put on a big time game? And the support from that community is going to be outstanding. I think that if they did somehow end up with a matchup to where the fans of the teams aren't going to put 25,000 in there, and then the people and the citizens that sit in Nashville are going to put in 10, 12, 15. I think Nashville wants that Super Bowl. They want this to be successful so much that those folks will turn out to make it look good on television, regardless of the teams that are going to take part. I'm excited for it. Having a new place, Frisco was really spread out, and the game felt like it got lost in the Dallas market. Anywhere you wanted to go, really, we had to Uber 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's possible to right there around Vanderbilt, right there around where the game's going to be, are a lot of things to do, a lot of places to see. And I'm excited. I hope that more people, regardless of if their team is in the game or not, will just come to the national championship game. You'll get to see FCS fans from all over the country. And we're, in the scheme of things, a very small tribe. And now we're all loyal to the one thing that we root for above all others. But being able to maybe, fellowship, have a beer with fans that are really into the same thing you are, just wear a different color on their shirt, that's really special. And I encourage everyone to try to do that. Try to get to Nashville. It'll be a little cheaper, I think, for flights to get there for a lot of people than Dallas was. And there's a lot to do, and I'm really looking forward to it. I want to thank you guys for having me on. I've been watching your show for a while. You do a very good job, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity y'all have given me here tonight.
Kev, so we'll leave you with one last question from me. I'm curious how you do your poll. Like, how many games do you watch, and how much?
I barely know you, Mark. That seems like a really just personal question to ask a guy. I mean, do you want the secret code off the back of my credit card now too?
Well, I mean, if you got it.
Okay.
Ask him for dinner first.
I mean, come on. Well, look, it's a lot of it is, I can just put it to you this way. When everyone else was higher on a certain team from Texas, Incarnate Word, than I've ever been. And a lot of the folks that were higher on them do a very good job covering the FCS. And I know what a top 5 team looks like because I've seen just about every one of them for 40 years. I know what that looks like. And it just didn't look that way to me. And so I go back on the knowledge that I have from just how long I've been seeing the best teams in FCS and before that 1AA. And head-to-head matchups mean a lot. Strength of schedule means something. And I'm very appreciative and blessed that the poll does very well every Monday. And it'll be out tomorrow. So I hope you'll find it there on our Twitter page. I care. I watch the games. So does Stone Labanowitz. And we don't just slot vote. We both have a subscription to Flow Sports, as much as it burns us up to have to pay the extra subscription. I know how to get games on the NEC to watch them. It's our job. People pay us to know this and to have an opinion on this that isn't just based on cursory examination of what other people have to say. So we watch all the games, and that's how we think we put out a product that's pretty good and people seem to like.
Kevin, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. This has been an absolute treat and a pleasure. Thank you for all you do, and Stone and your whole all the writers for FCS Nation. Folks, you can find them at FCS Nation Radio 1. It's number 1 at FCS Nation Radio 1 on X, and then Facebook at FCS Nation. Kevin, I hope to see you in Vermilion. We all hope to see you in Vermilion and or Nashville this year. Thank you for joining us.
I would love to come, and I appreciate the opportunity this evening, like I said. And Mark, I'm going to have them higher this week. So
appreciate that.
There's when you put that on the first poll, it was like it's a tradition unlike any other. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Hey, I think we're 4 for 4 on great guests so far.
What a treat, man. Yeah. Like, just great. I told you guys pre-show too, like, I didn't know you guys in person. I was just X, right? Or Twitter back then. And to get to know you guys and now finally get to meet Kevin. I really hope we get the opportunity to meet him in person. They just do an outstanding job.
We need a better group photo of him and us for sure.
Yeah, we need an actual picture with him. I don't think he was at the Summit League tournament, but we did our best.
I mean,
yeah, there it is.
We tried, yeah.
Kevin Marshall, big Summit Hoops fan. Absolutely.
Right.
All right, Mark, you want to take us through news and notes?
News and notes. Dr. Carrie Owen is just on a magical run right now.
Wow.
Her and Nick win tailgating of the game for the Northern Colorado game. Now, we will take a little bit of credit. So I did walk down to say hi to them, and I brought them a couple of our mini flags, and they displayed them proudly on their little trailer they have. So I don't know. Are we taking partial credit for that? I think maybe we should.
I think we're a part of it. I mean,
5%, 10%.
Dr. O, big, friend of the show. I think probably one of our only multi-time guests of the show.
I have a lot of thoughts. I need to get on that couch and have a little segment with Dr. O.
Dr. O, yeah.
A little Photoshop.
Yeah, so congratulations to Nick, Dr. O. Happy for both of you. Awesome stuff. Let's get back to news and notes.
News and notes part 2. Mark Wendt was not awarded Veteran of the Game at any of the games this past week. Chad Berger was also not awarded Professor of the Game at any games this week. I don't know. We're available as far as I know. Just DMs are open. Let us know. Happy birthday to women's basketball, Josie Hill. I don't know if we have cue the music or
I think we got a song. You guys ready? Ready? Am I good? Let's go. Here we go. Let's go. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Women's basketball. Happy birthday.
Nailed it. All right.
Nailed it. Once again.
Okay, so there's a new thing in the SCSC and the Dakota Dome. I think a lot of people missed the memo. The grab and go concession stands. Chad, can you give us a quick review of how this works and why people should use it?
Okay, if you go to games and you go to the grab and go concessions, you literally walk in, grab the items you want, go over and set them down, and then pay. You do not have to wait for another person to listen to what you are trying to describe, then go grab your food and bring it to you, and then you still have to pay. You're taking the middleman out of this whole equation. Utilize the grab and go, especially if you are not buying beer. This will reduce the lines in the concession stands significantly, and it'll make everyone's experience much more enjoyable. So I'm a huge proponent of grab and go. This has been available at the Summit League tournament for years and other venues for years. Utilize this if you are not buying beer. It's going to make everyone's experience a lot better.
So as someone who was not on the east side, this is non-beer. There's expanded food options. And so if I'm not interested in getting beer, let's say the kiddos or whatever, we just want like a Dome Dog, some Powerades, whatever, Gatorade, whatever's Pepsi. I just go in there, grab, and then I can get in and out. No more standing in line at the concession.
The only thing you have to wait in line for is potentially to pay. But you're waiting in line for that anyways. So I mean, there's huge upside here. Plus, no one else is touching your stuff. I mean, it's. I'm not saying I'm a germaphobe, but the fewer people touching my stuff, maybe the better. So
yeah.
That's a great
sounds like
deal.
a win. Yeah,
Win-win.
Okay, back to news and notes.
All right.
So this past weekend, all three of us saw lots and lots of friends of the show over the weekend. It was really great to get back in the groove of going to games in both the SCSC and the Dome. So can't wait to do it again this coming week. Some news from Dakota Days. Our own Chad Berger will be in the Dome Dog Eating Contest on September 29th at 6 p.m. in Coyote Alley. So best of luck to Chad on that. How many think you can?
Well, so the contest is everyone eats 3. And so the first one to finish all 3 wins the prize. And so
Gotcha.
I'm in training right now, and I was actually training at the volleyball match last night, and our friend Nick Hoyen took a picture. Now I will say, and I'm gonna bring this up later on, but I will say I did not spill any mustard on that white shirt. Okay, no ketchup, no mustard. Yep, just kept it pristine. I've got a little update on that later on in the show. So, and shout out Ethan for being, right in front of me in this picture.
Super into his job.
Yes. Yeah. Not distracted by the Dome Dog eating at all.
Mustard did not squirt on the back of his head. Nope.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. We got a lot of stuff to cover here. Softball. If anyone has the scores, let us know. Mark, you have an update on this?
I do. So, pictured here, USD Softball Family and Friends. That's a Facebook page you can join.
No, 2 people need to join though. Anyways, go ahead.
2 people
or follow. Yeah, we can't. We got to get. Yeah, we got to get up to 667. So yeah, we can't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So that group is really handy for, as we've complained about here recently, some of these D1 schools that are hosting these events that don't provide a stream. I believe, and I hope someone from this group reaches out to us. DM's open. I believe it is a parent of one of the players that actually will provide a stream, and they've got it pretty advanced, so they have an actual score bug as well. So it's really nice. I recommend joining this Facebook group 100%. The reason I mentioned that Augustana game on September 10th was streamed, and I did get a chance to watch that. They removed the score bug, so obviously, fall ball, we don't want the scores leaking out. But somewhat unrelated, while I was watching this stream, I was eating a bag of Skittles, and I kind of dumped it out on my desk here, and was surprised to find that I had 11 or 12 red ones and only 1 yellow one. So I thought that was unusual. I don't know if you guys have ever run into that at all, but completely unrelated. If you have the score, do let us know. Wayne State, I don't believe happened today. That disappeared off the schedule. So again, if you're in the know, let us know.
Yeah. Those Skittles follow a specific probability distribution, Mark?
Well,
Chi-squared or something?
Time will tell.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Football, as was mentioned, hosted Northern Colorado. And this one was a little bit more exciting than a lot of us were expecting. Northern Colorado had a good team. They came into the Dakota Dome, and things started off kind of sluggish for the Yotes. Missed field goals, lots of missed opportunities, an interception on a deep ball down the middle. And then Northern Colorado, came back at the end of regulation and was able to tie it up on the scoreboard right at the end, in front of the 64,000 plus in the lovely temperature regulated Dakota Dome, 72 degrees.
As much as I'd love 64,000 in the Dakota Dome.
6,400. 100. That's what I said. Yes.
Potato.
Give or take.
I'm gonna go watch the tape. I think I said 6,400.
I don't think enough people are getting the whole like west side renovation, because I saw pictures of the crowd on the east side and it looked really good, but then the TV side just doesn't look like, I don't know if people just don't want to go over there or not, but the TV side does not look maybe half full, maybe a third full, but the other side looks really good. I don't get it.
Well, we can figure that out later.
We'll figure it out next episode. I'll have an answer to you by then.
We're looking. We got our crack staff here, the I team looking into it.
Team will look. Yeah.
Yep. Jordan's taking a look at that.
We'll get it.
So on this one, went into overtime, and the Yotes were able to prevail, getting a touchdown, and then the defense, after a horrible missed pick call by the officials on the first play, the defense really stepped up and stuffed the Bears and kept that win. So it ended up 24-17 USD. As far as the game goes, we already mentioned. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. As far as this young man came in there, the defense, I mean, those were the two stories of the game, right? It was like LJ Phillips, 35 carries, 301 yards, 301 yards, 301 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I had asked Google, like, what's the equivalent of 301 yards rushing, just for some sort of interesting comparison. And Google said it's the equivalent of 3 football fields. So if you didn't know.
If we had the breaking news music, that'd be perfect. Or stat of the day music. Good job, Mark.
Thank you.
Yes. That's actually over 300. Yeah, it's over 3 times up and down the football field.
Right.
Yes, phenomenal job by LJ Phillips. Offensive line, I heard him give a shout out to them in the post-game press conference there. And it was good to have some guys. I think that's always one of the things, is that you want to have as many players as you can on those post-game press conferences. And so after the wins, those are always good things.
Yeah.
I don't have the stats in front of me. You guys were obviously there. We won't get into my first grade football where I was at. I don't believe the O-line allowed a sack again, correct? Aiden was well protected this game. I was trying to listen to John. I don't think there was a sack this game.
Well, Jordan, if you probably have the stats in front of you just like we do. So I don't remember one. We'll see if we can, pull up the stats here and see what we can find. But
this is how it feels. This is how it feels when you do trivia on me.
We're going to go ahead and jump into some of the defensive statistics, because defense was the other story of the game. Roman Tillman, 14 total tackles and a forced fumble. Gabriel Hardman, 9 total tackles. Matt Walsh, 9 total tackles. Wade Abrams, 9 tackles and 1.5 tackle for loss. And Caden Crawford had 7 total tackles, 2 tackle for loss, a half a sack in there. So lots of great defensive performances, but overall the team did a fantastic job defensively.
Yeah, just in the red zone and even the goal line. I think there was 3 legit from the 2-yard line in first and goal from the 1 or 2. The one at the end of the game, especially where you think, you're going to walk out of there with a little heartbreak, was huge. So I think Northern Colorado was 1 for 4 in the red zone, something like that, as far as touchdowns go. So just they stepped up when they needed to, and much needed. And now we can build off a W, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Mark, you were at the game. What were some concerns maybe that you have based on the performance on Saturday?
I think we mentioned it with Kevin a little bit. Our passing game is still struggling for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why. I have full confidence in Aiden Bauman. Obviously, he's got a proven track record with us. So I think eventually it gets straightened out, and I hope it's next week versus Drake. The other interesting thing I was going to mention while we had the stats up, we mentioned Caden Crawford with the half sack. The other fellow that got the other half of that sack, the yards lost for Caden was 2 yards, and the other guy that got a half sack, the yards lost were 1. So I don't understand that, but
yeah, we don't need to get into stat software and everything else right now. We'll maybe see if we can follow up with someone who knows a little bit more than we do on that one. Overall, kicking game wise, Zeke Mata did a really good job kicking off, getting those kickoffs down to, you want those to land at about the 1 or 2 yard line typically. And so I thought those were, relatively good. The punting team, I was relatively impressed there with how the punts turned out. But, Will Leyland kind of struggled, guys. 1 for 3 on the day. And that was kind of a concern for the Yotes as well.
Definitely an outlier for him. I think he's proven he's pretty reliable. So,
yeah. So lots of things to build on, to improve on, but overall it's a win, right? And that's really what the Yotes have to look at. At the end of the day, it's on a 1 in the left side of that column, the win column, and that's what the Yotes needed really badly.
Yep. Start stacking them.
So now, coming up this week, Drake. And I think I've mentioned I'm more of a Kendrick Lamar guy, so we'll see. Sorry, that joke never gets old. Nope. No, not that Drake. Okay. Sorry, they keep laughing at my joke. I don't know if it's out of pity or whatever, but
I'm laughing at you.
Okay, thank you.
Laughing at you. Yes, 100%.
Yes. All right. Well, there was some other stuff that happened on campus this week. Yeah.
2 things.
And so volleyball was one of them. Mark mentioned earlier the volleyball team took on Green Bay on Thursday and swept them. I mean, 3-0. And this one was 25-19, 25-17, 25-16. None of the 3 were in anywhere close to any type of doubt. Yotes domination on Thursday night.
Correct.
Yeah. Not a whole lot else to say about that. We can go over some of the stats. You can obviously see, who was playing well here. Mark, you highlighted a few things on here. The digs are very evenly distributed. We actually saw Lauren Medic, we mentioned last week, is making a lot of digs, but Avery Van Hook, the setter, having that many digs. I want to know, maybe if a coach is listening, is that a good thing? Is that something that other teams are, keying on, hitting towards the setter? What types of things are going on there? And then the other potential thing here was the service errors being at 11. Mark, is that a foreshadowing moment here?
I mean, it might be. I think 11 is probably okay based on what we saw when they were out east. But I guess as I was watching it, I know it felt like it was more than 11 because I think we were dominating them for the most part, and it just felt like we were just kept giving them points there. And that I know fans they key in on that because it seems something simple because there's 875 square feet or
870.25. Yeah.
Right. So just got to hit 1, that kind of thing. But overall, like you mentioned, you never felt like we were in danger of losing that match at all. So they played well.
And then look at some of these hitting percentages. I mean, Morgan Bodie, friend of the show, 556. Audrey Nelson, 375. Amanda Lotion, 375. Those are phenomenal hitting percentages. And Avery Van Hook always has a pretty high hitting percentage because she's a setter. A lot of times if there's high passes or sometimes she just gives the old Van Hook shot over the net and sneaks one in on the other team. But, those are just phenomenal percentages. So then Friday rolls around. Mark, you were at this one. You took the girls. I was working high school football, unfortunately, so I was unable to attend. But you took the girls to this one, and it started off kind of slow.
It sure did. A couple of closely contested sets, 1 and 2. The girls and I were there. I knew we had a big day coming on Saturday, so we actually left after set 2. So make of that what you will. Got home and got it on the TV, and lo and behold, reverse sweep, Yotes came back to reverse sweep the Eagles from Gulf Coast.
I'm really glad you brought that up because I thought it was me because we got home from a high school football game and the boys were like, Dad, the Coyotes are on. Can we watch? And I was like, yeah, because they saw it on the screen. I said, it's volleyball. They said, okay. So we turn it on. Great first set. Great second set. We go down 0-2, and I said, guys, it's me. So we're going to put on a movie. I had my phone close to me because we were obviously us three were texting. And I did not look for the entire match until I saw that it was final. And you're welcome.
I'm going to tell you both. It was neither of you. I'm not superstitious at all. And neither of you had any impact on the outcome of this game or this match. So
I've told you this. This is 100% me. My teams are – it's me. It's me. I should just not go. It's me.
No, that sounds ridiculous.
Jordan, that's crazy. Like, don't.
Do you know
don't,
who should go instead of me? My wife should go instead of me because she's the lucky one.
Well, because she's married to you.
Well,
Yeah.
duh. But no, like she goes to an event. It's 100% me. As you see with this jersey, they're getting their butts whooped tonight. Like whatever. Anyways, Mark, I'm glad to see that maybe it's both of us, and maybe just for this one night.
It's neither of you. So the Yotes came back, reverse sweep, so lost the first two, won the last three. Very impressive showing. As far as statistics go, still some really good hitting percentages here. Amanda Lotion is just playing really good in the middle right now. Just phenomenal volleyball. Lots of great stuff out of her. Lauren Medic, so we had mentioned on the show last week that she's, getting up there in the digs for the Yotes, but she's also starting to step up, and typically when Avery Van Hook has to dig one out or be the first pass, or maybe there's a kind of a weird situation, typically Cameron Ferris steps in and sets the second one. But Lauren Medic's getting more confident, and she's getting up there and setting that second one, and she had a couple of assists in this one as well. So really good to see that out of her. But 24 kills, I think that was a career high, if I read that correctly.
Correct. Yep. And Avery Van Hook with a career high in digs, I believe, as well.
Yeah. So great job by the Yotes on this one.
Great win.
Samantha Laird came in. Mark.
Huge, absolutely huge. On her birthday, nonetheless. She came in in the second set, I believe, and finished out the match and played at the stat show there phenomenally. So shout out to Sam. And happy birthday.
Ready, Jordan?
Are we doing belated? All right. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that should die.
I like the original video. All right. So then Saturday evening, 5:08 p.m., the Jayhawks from Kansas were still in town and took on the Yotes. This one was very, very tight early.
Yeah.
And then what happened was there happened to be some strategically placed Kansas fans sitting behind the Yotes bench in the first set. And the Kansas coach kind of gave them a whole, should I review this? And they gave him the old yes, review. I don't know what my signals are here, but they gave him the yes, review it. And it turned out to be a point. And that was actually a turning point. I did mention to the Kansas coach that he owes that family a dinner after that one.
Right.
But it ended up being 25-16, 25-16, 25-14 Kansas victory. Kansas had some impressive players out there. I think I was getting concessions at the beginning of the third set, but the first two sets, the Yotes started out hot. Like it was like 4-5, 6-1, maybe. It was 9-5 at one point.
9-5, yeah. I mean, but you're right. I believe it was number 9. She is 6'7",
yeah.
And I
you
remember
like a middle schooler. How tall is she? 6'7". Okay.
I'm laughing at you. So, anyways, I got the boys next to me, and she they'd set her up for those spikes and the kills, and I don't know if I've seen a ball hit that hard. It jeepers creepers. And then her serve, she'd toss it to where the American flag comes down, and just phenomenal athlete, student athlete. And but I love the fight that the Yotes put up. It was just too much in that match.
Right.
She was the only tall one there on the front line for them as well. So
yeah,
definitely worthy of their top 25 ranking.
Very much.
And there were a few times where the Yotes went up for blocks and they were just hitting above the block. I mean, they're at another level a little bit, but I thought good showing by the Yotes. It's not like the Yotes came out there and folded. I mean, fought hard in all 3 sets, just a little bit overmatched, and it was unfortunate, but very proud of the Yotes for how they showed up.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's keep moving. Soccer had a couple of matches this week. First off, home won this one 1-1 against Northern Colorado on Wednesday, I believe. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? It was Thursday. Yep, Thursday. In this one, there was a goal by Clarissa Vega, assisted by Kaya Peters and Molly Van Metren. I'm not sure how that works with the double assist. I'm not a soccer guy.
We got to get Coach on to ask him.
Well, not like we haven't tried.
Effort has been made.
Yep, we're trying here to get someone from soccer on. So, interesting. We'd love to find out more about the sport and feature some of the Yotes stuff here. Additionally, the Yotes were down in Omaha today on Sunday and took on Creighton and ended up on the wrong end of this one 4-0. So, as far as that goes, let's try to forget what happened there and move on to what's next. All right, tennis, Mark.
Tennis. And we missed this last week, so apologize to tennis. They were up in Sioux Falls today, or
yesterday
couple days.
And today.
Yep. And I can't read the small writing. I forget her first name. Natalia, is that her first name?
Yep.
She advanced to the finals in her heat, or I don't know what they call them. They divided them up into different pods, basically, and Natalia was the one that managed to make it to the finals up there and ended up losing that one. But a great showing for her. And I know the new head coach at tennis said that he was happy with the effort and how they responded to just being with a new coaching staff here just for a few weeks here with the new staff. So he's looking to build on what they did up there today. So go tennis.
Stay tuned. We love reading tennis scores as well. So you
Absolutely.
can see that the tie breaks in there. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff going on. And then it's always just fun to say 6-3, 6-3. I mean, it's you get lots of good stuff with reading those tennis scores. But we're also interested in having someone from tennis on the show, become a new friend of the show. So anyone out there, tennis, we're big tennis people, big tennis fans. So slide into the DMs, as Mark said earlier. Hit us up. We'll be happy to feature anyone from tennis on the show. Additionally, triathlon was at the Desert's Edge Collegiate. The Yotes finished 5th as a team in this one, right behind TCU, San Francisco, Arizona State, Arizona in that one. Top individual performance was Chelsea Weber, who finished 8th overall. As far as coming up this week, Monday night, we've got the Coyote Report with John Thayer. Football plays Drake, as we mentioned, on Saturday. Tennis is up in the Twin Cities at the Gopher Invite, Friday through Sunday. Softball, Mount Marty, I think it's at home, Mark.
It's a home. They're home and away.
It's headed within Vermilion on the website. Yeah.
All right.
So
all right. GoYotes.com. Is that where you got that?
GoYotes.com, as always, bookmarked on my browser. Soccer hosts Wyoming. That's a good get there. It's hosts Wyoming on Sunday at 1. That might have to be one we go to. I don't know. We'll have to figure out how to make this happen. Cross country is going to be up in Minneapolis on Friday. And volleyball is still home again. They got another classic coming up this week, the South Dakota Classic. Take on Villanova, Wichita State, and Drake on Saturday. So Saturday, the football team plays.
Not Kendrick Lamar.
Drake. The volleyball team plays Drake.
And I believe it's a blackout, just the opposite of what happened this past weekend. So
it is. Yeah, we'll
We're
talk
black.
about that.
We confirm that the
here
visiting
coming up.
opponent, that the opponent's not wearing the jersey.
I think we should be
Well,
okay with the darts.
so-
But
Jordan. In football, the home team typically.
I'm well aware.
Okay. It's the opposite of basketball. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on.
Lots of stuff in Vermilion this week.
Yes.
Lots happening.
Lots of stuff happened. Okay.
You know what sounds great though, going to get before those games and matches, a beer at 19 Brewing Company.
Absolutely.
would recommend.
It's what we did on Saturday.
Well, while you were doing that on Saturday, I was actually, I don't know if you're aware of this, I was actually on the landing that you were invited to but didn't show up to, Jordan. And I was enjoying a nice Coyote Legacy from our friends at 19 Brewery on the southwest landing during the football game. And then you can see here on the picture on the right, I'm showing off my nice white t-shirt after I did not spill anything on it during the whiteout. So,
well, hey, Chad, since you live there, if it was legal to drink beer on the T area athletic complex, I would have had one for the first grade flag football game, but I don't think that's legal.
Well, there's ways around that, but
all right, fair.
Before we get there, and now.
And that's just what they wanted to do there. And all things considered, again, as you see the iChart cardboard cutout, how appropriate.
Through the review, the iChart made its way to the video board. It really injected some energy.
Our own Mark Wendt is famous for holding up his iChart at basketball games when officials make questionable calls. We go ahead and give you our moments from the past week where questionable calls were made, whether in games or in life. This is called our iChart of the Week segment. So last week, as far as the iChart goes, the Philly fan that took the home run ball back or away from the person who rightfully retrieved it is the rightful winner of this one. Just edging out first grade flag football playoffs, which is a ridiculous thing to happen. I completely agree with that.
25% of y'all don't have kids.
Well, yes. Well, or, we just don't. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to say it. So that was the results from last week. And Mark, I believe that was yours, correct?
It was. Feels like way more than a week ago that happened, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you get to go first then. What's your iChart of the week?
So certainly there was some nominees worthy of the iChart of the week throughout the country since we last were on. We're not that kind of show, so we're not going to cover that here. But my iChart of the week is going to go to something that I was just made aware of after the Virginia Tech football coach got fired. Apparently that opens the transfer portal to Virginia Tech players. It'll be open for 30 days. I don't know how many games in Virginia Tech season is, 3 or 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. The fact that portal is open where a team could basically leave during the season, I find that utterly ridiculous. And my friend to the north of us, Alex, pointed out that they can't sign with another team, but they can definitely leave their current team and redshirt because it's less than 4 games. So my iChart of the week, once again, and they could win every single week, goes to the NCAA for that ridiculous rule.
That's insane.
It makes no sense. No sense. There's another school that fired their coach. I can't remember. I would have mentioned
UCLA, I think, right?
Yep.
So why don't they should just flip?
All right, Jordan, you're next. Ready?
Yeah. I was actually having a great week until last night in the 9.5-hour game between Texas A&M and Notre Dame. If you don't know, besides the University of South Dakota, I am a massive Notre Dame football fan. And my iChart of the week goes to, I hate doing this because there were definitely missed calls on both sides. But the officials on the last play that missed an offensive lineman tackling the defensive lineman of Notre Dame, in which he could have maybe forced a sack or gotten the sack himself. But the A&M guy tackled the defensive lineman so that he could not pressure or get to the quarterback. And I believe it was an SEC crew for that game. But because Mark's doing the NCAA, I'm going to do the SEC refs as my eye chart of the week.
All right. Well, I had some really good nominees this week as well. But last year I did get a lot of grief when the Yotes had a Hawaiian-themed, tropical-themed night at the SCSC, and I showed up and didn't have a Hawaiian shirt because I don't know if you guys follow me on social media, but I wear a Hawaiian shirt pretty much every day of the summer when I'm not working, when I'm not actually like going to my office. So since I got that grief, I figured, well, you know what happened this past weekend was we had a whiteout at the SCSC. And the Dakota Dome, and our own Jordan Decker showed up in a black shirt to a whiteout. I love the effort on the hat. You got
I don't get to defend myself, do I?
But no, you don't. This is you're gonna get the eye chart of the week for this week for wearing a black shirt to a. I mean, you literally just made fun of the other team for doing this and whatever else. And so, Jordan Decker, you get the eye chart of the week.
I feel like I get to defend myself as someone who has 2 white shirts for USD, but they are long sleeve / sweatshirts. So when I go down to Vermilion and I'm just looking for a white T-shirt, and God love everyone that works in Charlotte.
All right, we're out of time for tonight. Thanks to our sponsor, 19 Brewing Company, Main Street in Vermilion. Make sure when you go in there, enjoy some of the fantastic beverages they have on tap. Great food, all kinds of good options. Make sure to tell them the Howling Podcast sent you. They also do have a little Oktoberfest block party beer run thing coming up on September 21st at 12:30. Make sure to check this out. Go to Facebook, get all the information you can from 19 Brewery. Support our sponsor. They're great. They do a lot of awesome things for the University of South Dakota.
Yep.
All right. Any final comments?
No, apparently I'm going to get muted. Good night, USD.
All right. The Howling Podcast is a production of the Wakanda Peach Company, LLC of Burbank, South Dakota. Until next time, go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Let's go! 3 idiots on a podcast. Like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Runza sucks.
We don't know if any of that's true, but oh, Jordan, don't give me this technically crap. Come on.
Got personal this week.
Lots of stuff happened this week.
Chad Berger, Brian Dawson of USD.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You guys do it in a really professional manner, and it's awesome.